Thanks for staying tuned. Today is World Day to combat desertification and drought. Observed every year on June the 17th, the celebration aims to promote public awareness on the challenges facing the environment and how serious environmental phenomena threaten the economic life of communities. Migration is high on the political agenda for this year's commemoration, as some indigenous communities feel left behind and others flee their lands. The theme for the observance this year is, quote, "Our land, our home, our future," end quote, and it's a call for communities to invest in degraded lands to create jobs, boost incomes and food security. The UN says the theme is meant to call global attention to the central role productive land can play in turning the growing tide of migrants abandoning unproductive land into communities and nations that are stable, secure and sustainable into the future. Paul Abolo is an environmentalist and joins me now for more on this. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, how important or significant is this day?
This day is very significant in our lives as living beings. If you look at the theme, it talks about our land, it talks about our home,
and our future.
And talks about our future. What else do you need? And where the land fails to meet its needs, its resources, what it's expected to do, it ceases to become a home. And when it ceases to become a home, you find that the people ultimately have to move. And when the people move, they abandon their future. They abandon everything they had worked for, everything they had planned on how the land will have provided the resources that is needed to sustain their livelihood, their family, their hopes, and their future. So this is very significant to us as a people. It is very significant to us as a nation, because if you look into some of the problems we're having, if you delve into the complexities of the problems we're having, like the farmer header crisis, you will find that the root cause of this is due to the desertification of the land. I'll give you an example. The cattle is unable to differentiate between the grass and the garden. And the cattle is wired to go towards where the grass is greener. So you find that as the desertification begins to happen in the Sahara region, the cattle, by instinct, by default, starts moving down towards the south. And what that means is that the people are abandoning their lands, they are abandoning their homes, they are abandoning their future. And the complexity is so much because when people abandon their lands, they're already stressed, they're already worried, they are abandoning their culture, they are abandoning their relationships, they are abandoning their relatives, and they are moving into a foreign land.
But is there much they can do where the land, the environment is no longer conducive for them?
That is exactly why today is very significant, because today is to draw awareness that we need to treat our land in the way that the land will produce the resources to keep us on the land. There are so many ways by which the land has been bastardized. First of all, if you look at the global climate change action, the effects of the global climate change action is affecting how the land is able to productively support us. Then if you look at the way we treat the land, how we cut down the trees, how we manage the water and the land, how we manage the soil, how we manage our farming processes, you find that we are not treating the land right. And when you fail to treat the land right, the land will not give you the resources that needed to reach as many people as possible. And you're doing a wonderful work, but you can do better as a TV station to create this awareness and sensitization.
Okay, now, before we let you go, there is a 2030 agenda of protecting the planet from degradation. How achievable is this?
It is achievable because it's under the Paris Accord that we know Trump is pulling out, and I spoke to an environmentalist in the U.S. He said only Trump is pulling out, the U.S. is in. And he indicated how well the U.S. private sector is willing to engage in this. As a matter of fact, the gentleman I spoke with is doing so much work on the hydrokinetic energy in Nigeria, Zoetic. So by getting engaged in such actions, you will find that we are definitely going to meet that target. Nigeria's target is 45% conditional, 20% unconditional. And there are 6 strategies by which we are going to meet this. So it's achievable once we change our ways of doing things, and then we put the right policies in place.
Tell us about the strategies.
There are 6 strategies. There's number 1 strategy is on forest, number 2 is on energy, 3 on industries, 4 on agriculture, vulnerable group, and then industry and commerce. So what the nation has done is that they pick each of these strategies, like the energy, and there's a target to produce 13,000 megawatts of power by 2030 through renewable sources. So you'll find that there is a heightened talk about renewable energy, solar panels, hydrokinetic, and wind energy. And this is also going to address our sustainable development, since we know that we have a critical power issue in Nigeria. So by the time we engage in these processes for our sustainable development, and these processes are right, it will cut down our emission and then help us to meet our emission target for 2030.
All right, Paul Abolo, environmentalist, many thanks for sharing your thoughts with us on the World Day to combat desertification and drought. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.